Roseby Simpson, so nice to meet you. Thank you for being with us.
Nice to see you, be here with you.
Who are these sculptures? I say are rather than what. What are they to you?
These are my prayers. These are my hope for the future. These are my process for our human condition that I manifest into. I take our clay bodies and I turn them into beings that are in service to, the intention that I want for the world.
And born out of what? What are you taking the hope from?
Deep experiences of frustration and challenge around our human condition, my experience as a multicultural person in a post-apocalyptic world. And so, I conjure inspiration for myself to transform and change and grow as a person.
I know this piece is titled Storyteller. What is the story here?
This was based on a tradition of storytellers from my community, sort of larger Pueblo community, where ceramic figures were made that were actually teaching the young ones and telling the story of creation. And there's so many levels of that you can look at, as from the metaphor of parent and child, the metaphor of culture and participant, the metaphor of a larger source, the beings of the world, right? And that this piece itself is a take on that idea of storyteller.
What about the eyes?
They are like masks. I think often about that vacant space that opens up to, these are hollow clay forms that I coil build or slab build, where I build with slabs of thin clay. And so they have a vacant space inside, which I don't believe is vacant, right? And so the way that the eyes are hollow.
Well, before you go, what is if it's not vacant, what is there?
There's someone in there, right? So the idea is that so often we objectify the inanimate, and we don't believe that something is watching us, that we're being seen, right, by all the things around us. And these pieces act as examples of how the inanimate is also alive.
And I interrupted you just as you were talking about the eyes and what happens there.
I have left them open because from the idea of masks, I'm leaving space for that vision. So we witness these pieces, they're also witnessing us.
You've titled this piece The Remembering. What is it conjuring?
This piece was made when they were first finding the bodies of Indigenous children around the boarding schools, and started bringing up some of that heavy history around those lost children. And it's something, colonization and genocide is something that you kind of, in a post-apocalyptic world, you sort of live with,
When you say post-apocalyptic world, how do you mean?
The indigenous people of the New World, the Americas, and I think around the world, who have been victims of colonization and genocide, we're living in a post-apocalypse. So the world that we see now, that we consider modern, is an apocalypse for many cultures and peoples.
You give your beings signs that we see here.
Yeah.
What are those? And I see them on your fingers.
They're intentions. And oftentimes when I put my prayers, my work out into the world, I need it to stay protected, and I need them to do their work safely, and oftentimes those are the markings. These are stars, and these are for protection.
Is it significant to you that you can, I can see your hand here, literally, well, pretty much, yeah. in the texture.
So when I'm making these, I am leaving the marks of my process in the surface of the clay intentionally to honor the making of ourselves. I want to be seen as a person who's working on building myself. I'm not there yet. There's
an immense physicality to your work, working in construction, doing automotive work. You build cars, very physical work. I would assume that's very important to you. So as I think about this, and I think metal to me is cold and unforgiving in terms of shaping. You have to work with it. It's not like clay. So how do you balance those two?
Metal is actually incredibly satisfying after dealing with clay, because there's working with clay, there's so many moments where it can go wrong, and it's very fragile and vulnerable and very intimate and records your intentions very immediately, right? There's an immediacy and a vulnerability in it. And with metal, it's so forgiving. Like welding, it's strong, it's easy, it's a lot easier.
So I'm so curious about this stage in your life and now being a mom, how that has it changed how you create?
Yes, very much so. Becoming a parent has invested my time so differently. I also care more than I ever cared.
Yeah.
You know? So when I begin to work, I have less time and I am way more invested in the moment, and I have more change to make because I have this beautiful small human that I need the world to be a better place for. And so all of a sudden, the stakes are way higher in all the ways.
Is this piece a reflection of your hopes for her at all?
I would say so. I want her to be empowered and graceful, and I want her to have a world that nurtures her very distinct gift, right? Whatever that is, whatever she chooses to make that, I want her to feel safe. I want her to feel nurtured. I want her to feel honored, you know?
And that's what we see here.
Yeah, and it's hard, you know, we're digging up these graves of all these Indigenous children, and our women and girls and Indigenous people are going missing and murdered. And so the stakes of having an Indigenous daughter is really, it's high, it's scary, you know? And we are currently endangered species in a way, and I want to protect her and make her powerful enough that the world she walks through is going to be protected and transformed from what we've known.
To go back to what you said at the beginning of this interview and how these beings help you with your own healing, how far have they taken you with the healing?
I don't think I would be here if I didn't have my creative process. I think that's as simple as it gets, is they are me existing and persisting and surviving. And this is that, like, I know it's like, you know, like crawling through the dirt, you know, it's like, we're gonna make it. And I'm crawling through the dirt with these, each one is a step of survival. And hopefully that step in survival turns from survival into absolute thriving and creating a world that's beautiful for everyone.
Well, Rose B. Simpson, thank you. It's such a privilege to be with you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, it's nice to hang out. Thank you.